my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Selvaraju, Head of Data Science at Covey.co, with a distinguished academic background, including a master's and PhD from La Trobe University and a BE in mechatronics from Anna University. Dr. Raju brings a wealth of expertise to the table. Welcome, Dr. Raju. Throughout his illustrious career, Dr. Selvaraju has held various leadership roles, including programmer analyst at Cognizant, sessional lecturer at Spatial Partners Pty Limited, manager at Business Innovation Center Technology, and senior director innovation and data analytics at the ACT Government in Canberra, Australia. We are thrilled to have Dr. Selvaraju to share his insights and experiences with us today. His extensive background in data science and innovation will undoubtedly provide valuable perspectives on the topics we will be discussing. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Selvaraju. We are grateful for his presence and look forward to engaging discussions.
So, in the first session, I'll be covering something about prompt engineering. How do you talk to AI? So that's what I'm going to cover. So before we do that, let's go through an exercise. So here's how the game works. So start with I, and then you can say only one word, okay, which is a continuation from that word, and you can say comma or full stop. If you want to stop, and then you continue. You understand the game? So we'll start from the back. Okay, I am. No, you just have to say one word.
Okay.
One word. I am. Vinodini. You can say full stop or comma if you want.
Coming from KGCAS.
No, just say one word, ma'am. So I said I am Vinodini. Coming. Okay, coming. I working. Okay. KG as assistant professor. No, you can say full stop. If you don't want to continue the sentence, you can actually break it. You can say full stop. Full stop. Okay. Just say only one word. I am RT. Comma two. I am RT two from two. When? Well, okay, we'll stop. Okay, look, the idea is, so each one said one word, correct? And you're able to predict what's the word. When somebody said working and somebody said as, and in the moment somebody said assistant, I'm loud enough. And somebody said professor. Okay, so you're able to predict the next word. Yeah. So that's exactly what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is actually an auto completion in steroids. It can complete up to 70,000 words in one go. The moment you give a prompt, it can go all the way up to 70,000 words, one hit. Okay, so that's the. I'll give you the PowerPoint after this, so you don't have to take pictures, take notes, but I'll give you all the things as a PowerPoint. You can download and use it as part of your curriculum. So that's the power of this technology. So generative AI can generate text up to 70,000 words, basically by doing this. Okay, let's talk about this. So let's understand how this generative actually is being built. It's built on a technology called large language model. Okay, which stands for LLM, large language model. And let's try to understand how it's being built. If I give you a sentence like this, the best thing about the technology is the ability to guess the next word. Take chance. Sorry? Do. Okay, do is one word. Provide is another word. Generate. Analyze. Build. Discover. entire corpus of the internet. So the entire thing that humanity has actually ever written. 26.24% probability. The next word to do is connect. Okay. So again, the probability might change if you scrap the internet again, but it won't be much variation. It will be very similar to what it is. So most of the time when we say connect, the ability to, we always choose connect. And then the other words we said, make, when somebody said provide, where are all those probabilities? They're not there. They're not on the top 5 probability. Okay? So let's try to do this, simulate, and give a simulation. So the best thing about the technology is ability to, if I set this, there's a temperature, there's a parameter for temperature, which will go there in a short time. This is ChatGPT, by the way. Okay? If I set this temperature parameter to 0, it will always pick the highest probability word. In this case, is connect. So here I am with temperature 0. The best thing about technology is ability to see the next word connect. Now I change that temperature parameter to 0.8. And then now you see the word to is enhance. And here's the problem. See, it didn't put enhance and it put the word people. It completely changed the whole text. Okay? Because the first probability affects the next word's probability as well. So that's exactly what it's doing. Okay? So let me give you a perfect live example. We have LAN. Oh no, ma'am, I can't connect the LAN, but I will use my mobile phone. We have Wi-Fi? Yes, sir. We have Wi-Fi? Yeah, Wi-Fi is connect. Yeah, yeah, okay. Nah, hello, this is ChatGPT. Okay, I have a paid account, so the interface might be different. So here's where I'm going to say create. Okay, I'm going to copy this text which I have. Yeah, so this is where I actually type. Now I'm using ChatGPT 5 model. As you see here, and I'm setting this temperature. And set this temperature to all the way to 0. Now you actually see, you actually given the best thing about technology is connect. Okay, now I'm changing the same parameter, copy the same thing, and I'm saying the temperature, setting the temperature to something different. Okay, say 0.9. Now I do the same thing. Now it says the best thing is to transform. Now we picked up a different word. Okay. that's what this technology is all about. The technology is more about predicting the next word. There's no magic to it. Just predicting the next word. That's what it is. So the important question is, where does this probability come from? Yeah, I've actually shown you here this is the probability. Yeah, but where does this probability for a large language model actually come from? So it actually comes from a very simple thing. So if you play this word game with kids and then ask them to produce a word, the most important alphabet you need to pick is E. Okay? Very simple. Just take a newspaper and count how many E's are present. And I'm pretty sure it will be like 12.49% approximately. It is the nature of how we actually speak. So E occurs in English 12.49%, followed by T and A. And guess what is at the bottom? Z. This is the least used word in the English word, which is like 0.09%. We don't use the word Z more often. And that's what it is all about. So what we do, we can build ChatGPT using this. Let's start. So here I am trying to generate a sentence using this probability. Okay. So if you take this whole sentence and then count the probability of E, it occurs 12.49%. But the problem is it comprehensible? No, it is not. Why? It's a very long sentence without having spaces. But we can break this into words with some probability. For example, the probability of 2-letter word, probability of 3-letter word, probability of 4-letter word, probability of 5-letter word. If you try to split that sentence using the probability, and you get something like this, still gibberish, still doesn't make sense. But we also know the distribution of word length. If you try to use that, still it is gibberish. But here is what it's interesting. I'm actually using one alphabet to predict the next alphabet. Yeah? But what if I do two? So I take A and B. Okay? 2 letters. So if I try a pair of letters, now you don't get a single probability, but you get something like a heat map. Yeah? So with that heat map, if I say I, the next word could be M. Because A after that, M will be more. Yeah? And then you can see here, in yellow and red, A followed by M is higher. So there's a bit of a probability that actually emerges from 2-letter word. And now, using that, I'm trying to generate something. Is it useful? Probably not. But look at the word I actually produced. Special, average, consumer. But it's not cohesive. Doesn't make sense to humans. But here's where the magic actually happens. If you use n-grams, in this n-gram, I don't use 2, instead I use 4. That's when it starts to make some sense. See, cat on a theory and already from now it's trying to make sense. Okay, so a ChatGPT uses 4 grams, okay, which we call it as a token. We don't use the word grams anymore. Instead, we actually switch to another term called token. A token is a combination of 4 characters. So if you use 2 grams, these are the probabilities of word, 1.6 billion. But if you use something like ChatGPT 4, now it has to store 100 trillion of those probabilities. This is very hard, right? The moment you type I, now it has to run that probability machine trying to generate 100 trillion probabilities and then pick the one that is coming most based on the temperature setting that you have. It's extremely hard, but that's exactly what the ChatGPT actually does. It actually runs a more computationally less intensive algorithm to pick the probability. So what a large language model in the nutshell is, it is a probably estimating probability. That's what it is. It's no other than that. These are actually giving you intelligence. Probably not. Let's assume there's an alien landing in Earth. It's an alien. And it sees what you do. Now it can actually come and says, I am alien. We actually believe it's an intelligence piece. No, we don't. Something speaks our language doesn't mean that it is intelligent. Okay. ChatGPT can produce words, doesn't mean that it is intelligent. It's a piece of AI technology. It's more of predicting tokens. By the way, if you put ChatGPT in the classical AI space, an AI can only do three things, nothing else. Anything in the world, AI can do only three things. The first thing is it can forecast, weather forecasting, stock market forecasting, sales forecasting, can do that. Second is something called classification. If I give this is as a mouse pointer, this is as a computer, using the label data, you can train it to actually classify. This is computer, this is human, this is cell bar, this is fan. You can do that. Third thing is something called clustering. If you don't know any patterns in the data, you go to clustering algorithm and then say, find out a pattern for me. You can also do that. Do some approximation. So basically an AI can do only three things. And any piece of technology you see in the AI will come under these three umbrellas. Forecasting, classification, clustering. And ChatGPT or the large language model comes under which category? Forecasting, classification, clustering. No. So it's forecasting. Forecasting the next word. So this is basically a forecasting. You only feel forecasting because you're seeing numerical data. Right? What's the weather like for next minute? You forecast. So this is just text. But unlike the text is what? The tokens are. I don't want to go into very detail of how tokens are computed, how encoding actually works. It's a very hard mathematics, but I'll just tell you in a high level what it actually does. So for us to learn English, even Tamil, Tamil is a very tricky language to do because you can actually swap subject and verb, it still makes sense. Right? Naan mandel, varigirain naan, still makes sense. But you can't do it with English. I am going, no, I can't mix and match the subject. It doesn't make sense. Tamil is very unique in some sense. But with English, there are set rules for words, set rules for grammar. Of course, there is exceptions. For example, when we say D, okay, when we say D, usually the verb, we don't put S. They are coming, that we always use are, they are. But sometimes we also make exceptions. For example, time and tide waits for none. What do we add as? Plural. Time and tide is they, right? Time and tide waits for none. We say yes. There's exceptions to the rule. We always have some like exception to English rule. But having said that, if you give the computer a model called transformer model, the entire corpus of the internet, you describe everything it takes ever typed by a human, and you try to give to this machine, trying to learn the language, it can self-teach itself. It can self-teach the language. When you say this, and it knows it comes to text. The feminine of king is queen. Knows that. Okay? That's what is more powerful. It can actually able to understand, teach itself the grammar and the structure. It can also understand the context and relation. The moment you type something, ChatGPT can actually understand the context. For example, when you put king, it actually knows the king lives in the palace. He has a kingdom. He has a queen, the princes, he owns horses. So it actually assumes all the context from that by just giving a word. So that's it. It's really important. And basically what it's actually trying to do is it's actually traverse the path. See, when I said I'm able to traverse the path. Right? Assume that there are like jumbled words in this room. The moment I put one, I'm going to find the next probable word. So it's actually trying to traverse the path, trying to find the next word. That's what it actually does. And here's the problem. Problem with ChatGPT. When the facts change, it doesn't go. I don't have an example, but what's the reason? So all this large language model is built on a corpus of the internet which has cutoff date. Okay? I can't keep training the model. I have to draw a line and then only feed the data to this large language model engine to generate probability. And usually they have a cutoff date. During the time, for example, the Prime Minister got changed, or the US President got changed, or some tariff came into effect on India, the large language model cannot cope because it's not part of the inherent knowledge. It's not part of the inherent training data. So whenever the facts change, we have to rely on something else. It is called RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and others called web search. Let me show you an example, just example. Okay, here I am. So if I ask so I put Oz. What is Oz? Oz stands for Australia. It's slang. I was able to pick it up. See, it says it's constitutional monarchy, doesn't have president. Australia never had president. Okay. If I ask you by the way, I made a lot of typos, right? I said who's the Presi, I don't know, Argentina? How did they actually be able to do that? Now, in the whole corpus of the internet, nobody has this data, correct? Who is the president of, nobody writes a typo. How does the large language model able to get that typo, able to understand, I'm asking about president of Argentina. Why is that? The thing is, there's the error correction inbuilt in. If you have the 4-letter word, it knows PERS is one token by the way. And then the next token format, even if there is something wrong, it knows that I made a typo and it corrects for itself. Okay? That's the beauty of large language model. And I don't know what our children is going to learn. To be honest with you. We're not teaching them English or any other language. They can put some gibberish and ChatGPT can actually give an intelligent answer. Okay? And right now it actually does that. So it actually does a web search here. It doesn't pull it from the ChatGPT. That's why there is a Wikipedia web search here. Okay, because it doesn't know. The moment I put now, it all makes sense. It doesn't have the information built in that large language model. That's why it does the web search and then trying to augment the new information. Okay, part of that. Okay, so if you are working with ChatGPT or any other piece of technology, there are like few definitions few concepts you need to understand. The first one is called token. A token is just a 4 character. Okay, the four characters per token, and most of the time, this ChatGPT or any other model that you work with, they always price their API based on number of tokens they actually produce. Approximately 100 tokens are 75 words. And any conference or anything you go to, they usually talk about things per token. 100 tokens is 75 words, and a paragraph is about 100 tokens. So that's usually the anatomy of how the ChatGPT word actually works. And these are other things you need to know. The first one is called context. In ChatGPT, an input is what you put as the prompt, and there is something called output. Output is what you get out from the chat window. There is something called system messages. Okay, that is also as part of the context. Let me give you a best example. Now, here in the ChatGPT, I've actually put a system message called act as a translator. brought like 3 or 4 tokens in there, and then so that's the system message. And here is my input. I'm saying so say act as a translator and translate the text to Tamil. Okay. Here I'm saying I am from India. So I am from India is the input. Act as a translator and translate Tamil is the system message. And now if I do that, there you go. Says something in Tamil, correct? And this is the output. And the input, output plus context is called the system message is called usually called as a context. And context is very important. The reason is at the moment ChatGPT supports 1 million context windows. Okay, which means you can stuff as much as information you can do. But having said that, you usually have some kind of a input token limitation. Okay, input I think you can only do up to 16,000 tokens. Okay, so you can put 16,000 tokens as an input, including a system message, but then the rest of the out of 1 million you actually put it as an output. Okay, it's all very constrained. And you're going to choose the model that suits your best needs. See how they actually price it. So we charge you $1.20 for 1 million tokens as an input, and then for output we charge you I don't know $10,000 for 1 million tokens. But here look at the output. So some models they charge you more, give you more input. Some model will charge you less based on the output. Okay, so whatever application you have, you can choose. The best example is I can give you is when you give more inputs. For example, assume that you are trying to correct some paper. Let's say somebody actually wrote an exam, and you want to say whether that exam they actually passed or failed, or you want to assess. So where you'll be giving the question and answers as an input to this model. There's like more input tokens. The output you just need either it is yes or no or correct or wrong, and then you want to give that marks. So obviously the output tokens will be very less. In that case it will work. The other scenario is, let's say you are trying to generate a question paper. Your input will be very simple, right? Something like generate questions for cyber security. Give 5 MCQs and 10 question and answers. The moment it gives, the output tokens will be huge. You can choose the model accordingly. That's how it actually works. The next important concept is called temperature. Wherever you go, this parameter actually pops up. And it is a universal thing across all the models, whether you use ChatGPT. What are the other models you actually tried other than ChatGPT? Claude, excellent ma'am. What else? DeepSeek, Black Box. Okay. Perplexity, fantastic. Grok, Gemini. There are other models. Let me name a few. Something called Mistral. I think Mistral is very powerful. There's something called Cohere, C-O-H-E-R-E. So there are a lot of models, but this temperature parameter is actually constant across every single model you go to. So it has high and low. Usually the temperature parameter goes from 0 to 1. When it's set at 0, it always takes the highest probability word. Remember when I said connect? So when the temperature was set to 0, okay, it always picks the highest probability word. When the temperature is not 0, what what you're trying to do is you're making the model a little more creative. Okay, you are changing the parameters so that it actually shows you a lot of variations, and you want that. Usually call this more as a creative parameters. Okay, so whenever you get the same of, okay, here's the thing. If all of us give the same prompt to ChatGPT right now. So if all of us give the same prompt, say, who is the Prime Minister of India? What do you think? Do you think the answer will be exactly the same? When I say exactly the same, word by word, do you think it's exactly the same? Assume that the temperature parameter is 0. Do you understand the question? You can try now. Take your phones and then let's try. Go to ChatGPT. Let's put a simple prompt, okay? Say, what is the capital of Tamil Nadu? Try it. Simple prompt. Simple prompt, right? So everybody got the same answer, word by word. Who got the different answer? Nobody got the different answer. Has anybody got a different answer? The one that is not on the screen.
Chennai is one of the largest cities in India.
So that's what it's giving you. So she got a different answer. Chennai is one of the largest cities in Tamil Nadu. Has anybody got a different answer? Okay. It will never give you the same answer. Okay, because that's the nature of the model. Most of the time it will be the same, but the more you use, it will be very probabilistic. Even a small perturbation of bits in when it processes in a transformer model, it actually changes the thing. I have seen in there, you type capital of Tamil Nadu, say Chennai is the capital of Tamil Nadu. Next time you say Chennai. And the next time you say Chennai, capital of Tamil Nadu is Chennai. And then sometimes it actually adds more words to it, even though I don't need it. Okay? So that's the nature of what we, the piece of technology we have. There are other kind of parameters. So whenever you like ChatGPT, you can know all these parameters. So something called presence penalty, something called frequency penalty, and penalize the recurring token so it doesn't feel like robotic. Okay? So these are the things we will go through in detail. So these are the few concepts I want to understand. So let's take a 5-minute break and then let's do it.
Participants, you can join the group.
Yeah, but yeah, correct, man. That's the magic, correct. So even if the prompt is 0, what actually happens is when it actually goes and picks up those connections. So a slight perturbation of bits when it actually goes to that architecture. Okay, for example, when it processes, it will always fix the word, but a slight alteration in the words in the architecture will actually change the model. Answer will be the same, doesn't matter whatever you put. Answer will be the same. What I'm saying is exact word by word won't repeat. Won't break that. But you'll never miss the core concept. It will always be Chennai. The answer will always be Chennai. But the way that he says it will be different. No. Even if you, yeah, correct. Okay, let's try that. Let's try it out. No. You don't. Even if you put as a creative, it won't change the word Chennai. Chennai is back. Yeah, you can probably
see because you have been paying that concert.
Yeah.
Let it be said, you go for break and
Sure. Sure.
பாஸ் பண்ணிச்சேன். ஓகே உங்களுக்கு இதில் பாஸ் பண்ணிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? இது ஓடிட்டு தான் சார் இருக்குது அப்படியே
வராதுன்னு லைவில்
லைவ் வந்துட்டு தான் இருக்குங்க.
பார்த்தீங்களா?
ஆமாம் லைவ் வந்துட்டு தான் இருக்குது.
எனக்கு இது
நம்ம ஓபி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் தான் பண்ணி
அவளே பார்த்து நிற்கிறதோன்னு இருந்துச்சா சரி ஓகே ஏதாவது ஸ்டாப் ஆகிடுச்சு.
இதில் வந்து இந்த ஸ்டாப் பாஸ் ஆகிடும்.
போயிட்டு தான் இருக்குது.
ஆமாம் இது ஸ்டாப் பண்ண முடியாது, பாஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. வந்து ஸ்டாப் பண்ணி போக முடியாது. அது வந்து நான் முடியாது. ஏன்னா ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிட்டு 6 மந்த்ஸ் வந்து மறுபடியும் பண்ணி
5 மினிட்ஸ்
கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ணி விட்டுருங்க சார்.
இது வந்து ஸ்டாப் ஸ்டீவிங் கொடுத்தா ஃபஸ்ட்டாக தான் போகணும்ல?
ஆமாம் ஃபஸ்ட்டாக தான் போகணும்.
என்னோட அப்படி வேல்யூ
ஓகே இதில் நீங்கள் பாஸ் பண்ணுறது சார். நம்ம இது பண்ணுறது இது மூலமாக ஸ்ட்ரீமிங் ஆகிட்டு இருக்கீங்க. யூடியூப் மூலம் பண்ண முடியாது. ஓகே சார் நம்ம இது வந்து கூட ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணி
இப்போ அதே ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. 2 வீடியோ ரெக்கார்ட் ஆகும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
இப்போ நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண ஃபஸ்ட்டு க்ரியேட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி இருக்குது. ஆமாம்
இல்லை இதுலேயே ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறேன்.
ஆமாம் இப்போ நம்ம முடிஞ்சு ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிட்டோம்னா மறுபடியும் ஃப்ரெஷ்ஷாக க்ரியேட் பண்ணி கீழே அதில் எடுத்து ஜெனரேட் பண்ணி போட்டு அந்த மாதிரி எப்படி ஓட்டுங்க சார்? அப்படி 2 மினிட்ஸ் சிஸ்டம் கொடுக்கலாமா?
temperature parameter point something, not 0, would it actually give a different answer to capital of Tamil Nadu? Check right. Okay, I set the temperature to 0.8 and still it gives capital of Tamil Nadu is Chennai. Why is that? Because it's a fact. It is a fact. It cannot lie on a fact. Okay, you cannot say capital of Tamil Nadu is Delhi. You can never do that. Like, when I say creative, it only means the next word. Okay, not altering the fact. Okay, let me give you a perfect example. Let's say I want to ask something different. Okay. I say write a poem. Okay, now it's actually written a poem. Same thing. Now change the parameter. See, they are completely different. Correct? So it starts with waves of moment. This one dispersed in the morning. So this is how you get creative. Creative only means whenever there is some kind of a creative task you have. That's the only time you change the temperature parameter. For most of the times, when you go to a website, you interact with a lot of chatbots. All the chatbots will always have a setting of temperature to 0 because you do not want the chatbot to be creative and create something new. You always want to stick to the facts. If you want to stick to the facts, keep the temperature to 0. So anything you see on the ChatGPT, there is usually an API. Okay, if you have a paid account, you can get this. Look, the paid accounts are not expensive. Even if you're a student or a staff, just go and get an API account. It won't cost you much. Only pay as you go. Even if you pay like 500 rupees, you get a lot of value out of it. Okay. So here's the API. So this is a post API. When I actually hit, and these are a lot of parameters you actually give. What kind of model you choose and stuff like that. And one of the parameters here is the temperature parameter. There you go. That gives you what's the temperature parameter. Okay. So I use it every day. When you say ChatGPT, I use it through via the API. We built a lot of application around this API, and there's definitely a value around it. Okay. In fact, I stopped typing documents and Excel spreadsheets. Every little thing, an AI does it for me. Those are the tasks I don't pay much attention or do anything kind of critical thinking. Okay, so it's very important to use this API. And in the later part of the session, I will show you how to get more value out of all these APIs, even with the free channels. So we have a chatbot here. This is one of the things I have made. So you go to any kind of website, you always have some kind of chatbot. Right? You enter a prompt and actually generates a text for you. And this whole thing is powered by OpenAI API, chat completion API with the temperature parameter of 0. Okay. As a group project to your students, ask them to build a chatbot. Ask them them to scrap all your college website, ask them to build a small chatbot, where we can actually embed them as part of the website homepage. Like a small JavaScript, when you click on it, actually powers it up. Okay, that would be a good college project to have, absolutely. And there's a lot of other things that you do with this. For example, it actually gives you a citation. That could be another thing part of the college project where the students have to give a citation where it's actually coming from. Okay. This could be a cool project to have. And one of the strategic thing I usually talk to principals and the MDs are, I'm pretty sure as a college we procure software. There's a CRM we have, there's an attendance register. We have a lot of these things. If you're a smart professor, you can build a project so that the students build a code base in the software that can be adapted by the college itself. Pretty sure to some extent KGCAS actually does that. Okay? And what do you do? Keep the same code base, and if the new students come in, ask them to actually add more extra features. So they know how to use Git, they know how to build software. So strategically, the college can actually observe all the value. That'll be a cool thing, cool kind of innovation which can actually happen. We don't have to spend millions of dollars procuring software, which we can actually use our own students to build the software for ourselves. And I've been talking to somebody from KCC recently, and as a college professor, you have this what is called, you have to put this timetable scheduling. And it looks very easy, timetable scheduling. It is not. It is the worst job you ever have. The problem is, when you find trying to put a timetable, either the lab is not available, or the professor is not available, or there is some clash. Always happens. They have to go and talk to people, and they have to set up committees. Sir, I'm adjust பண்ணுங்க, after then arrive. Usually takes about 2 months. But there is some concept in AI called linear programming. Linear programming அடிச்சா வருங்க. இது பேசிக்கா வந்து linear programming problem. இது நம்ம ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கொடுத்தா அவங்களே போட்டுருவாங்க. இதில் பைத்தனில் வந்து நிறைய பேக்கேஜ் இருக்குது. குரோபின்னு ஒன்று GROBI. அந்த பேக்கேஜில் ஸ்டாஃபோட ஸ்கெட்யூல் என்ன கன்ஸ்ட்ரைன்ட், இந்த டைமில் வரக்கூடாது, இந்த ஸ்டாஃப் இவ்வளோ தான் அவைலபிலிட்டி, அந்த இன்புட்லாம் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா it will actually forms a big set of linear equations. எல்லாமே linear equations. அந்த பேக்கேஜ் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா it will solve. நைஸாக ஒரு URL போட்டீங்கன்னா usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes for it actually run and complete. அந்த ப்ரோக்ராம் எல்லாத்தோட அவைலபிலிட்டி வாங்கிட்டு ஒரு காஃபி குடிச்சிட்டு பிரேக் போட்டு வந்தீங்கன்னா ரெடியா இருக்கும். நோ கிளாஷ். அதனால சால்வ் பண்ண முடியும்னா அதே சொல்லுங்க சார், இந்த இடத்துல ஃபீசிபிலிட்டி இல்லை, அதனால ஃபெயில் ஆயிடுச்சுன்னு சொல்லி அதே சொல்லுங்க. சேஞ்ச் கன்ஸ்ட்ரைன்ட். இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the problem actually giving you is one of the projects I actually worked on 8 years ago. When it came to Coimbatore, this software, somebody actually built this software and sold to colleges for close to 1 lakh rupees a month. நாட்டில் எத்தனை காலேஜ் இருக்குங்க? 1 லட்ச ரூபா சும்மா ஜாலியாக வந்து they actually made money. Okay? In fact, it's a college student project. Okay? நான் என்ன அப்படின்னாங்க, நான் எப்படி பார்க்குறேன் அப்படின்னா, if the professor are doing any same thing over and over again, lab report வருது, இந்த ஃபார்மட் பண்ணாலும், if there's a student project, இதாங்க problem statement, how model can you build? Build me a system. எக்ஸல் ஸ்ப்ரெட்ஷீட்ல வேண்டாம், நான் சாஃப்ட்வேர் போவேன், இதெல்லாம் இன்புட் கொடுப்பேன், கிளிக் பண்ண அவுட்புட் வேணும், இந்த மாதிரி டாக்குமெண்ட் இந்த மாதிரி ஃபார்மேட்ல வேணும். Can you build a system? So students can actually build. This is a homegrown innovation. இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய காலேஜ் பண்ணாமல் இருக்காங்க. That's a fantastic. Even AI is there, you can build it. In fact, I will show you how as a professor you can also build it on your own. You're looking at students too. Okay, so before we do that, so let's dive deep into something called prompting here. So prompts are the only way we can talk to AI. So that's the paradigm we have at the moment. Of course, there's voice, there's visuals, there's video, they're all coming. At the moment, we are constrained with what we have at the moment for text-based. So this is what we use Claude, ChatGPT, Whisper, okay, you name it, everything, that's it. They all use it. And it's not easy to prompt. Okay. Prompt என்ன? Interesting, no? நான் அதெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம்ல முதல்ல இன்னமும் ப்ராம்ப்ட் பண்றாங்க. டேய் தண்ணி போடுறா, யார் கொடுக்குறாங்க? என் ஒய்ஃப்ங்க. காலைல எந்திரிங்க, டீ போடுங்க. Everybody is prompted in every single life, either by your parents or your girlfriend or your partner or your husband or wife. Everybody gets prompted, but whether the prompt is specific or not, what matters? Correct? wife என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா, தண்ணி எடுத்து வைங்க. எந்த தண்ணியுமே எடுத்து வைக்கிறது உங்களுக்கு தெரியாதா? ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா சொன்னாதான் தெரியும். சால்ல தண்ணி இருக்கு, வெளியில தண்ணி இருக்கு, எடுத்து வைக்கிறது ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா சொன்னாதான் ஹஸ்பண்ட்ஸ் பண்ண முடியும். Correct? One prompt becomes many prompts and end up in a heated debate. And நீயா நானா மாதிரி வந்துடும். So, but with AI, unless you specify the prompt very clearly, it will give a vague, open-ended answer. Okay? So it's very important to actually understand the tactics. So, prompt engineering tactics that is used by us to get what we want. ரொம்ப important என்னன்னா, the objectives are very important. You have to specify what the objectives are. So we go into detail. So the prompt engineering basic definition, a prompt structure. We have to give set the expectation first or objective set பண்ணிட்டு, you got to specify set of inputs and you got to specify what is the outputs. Okay? அது தெரியல அப்படின்னா you give examples. Okay? Very simple. ஒரு ப்ராம்ப்ட்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா 4 elements இருக்குங்க. நான் இந்த full PowerPoint I'll give you as a text. Okay, after I finish I'll give you QR code. You can scan and download the entire document as a PPT. So ப்ராம்ப்ட்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா there are 4 elements. The first is called instruction. Usually instruction எப்படி பண்ணுவோம்? We always use verbs. Provide, give an example, generate question paper. Okay, generate multiple choice question. I will put it. இது பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது பேர் called verbs. They are instructions. Next one is we have to give the context. For example, generate a question paper na அதுக்கு என்ன சப்ஜெக்ட் தெரியுங்க? So we'll say generate a question in cyber security. Generate 10 questions on this particular topic in cyber security. Makes sense. So the more context you provide, the more you need your objective. Okay, so that's what the context is. Next, you can give some input data. For example, if you want some let's say you have a input data saying I have list of countries, you generate capital from it. So we'll give you list of countries. So the country name is an input, basically. The output is what you get out of the model, basically. Okay, these are the 4 components. And the more effective you use, the more efficiently you can actually get more out of AI, especially with Gen AI. This is a prompt structure, especially if you're using ChatGPT. This is the prompt structure you have to follow. First, you have to specify what's the role and objective. For example, translate you say in ChatGPT, you are an amazing linguistic. You can translate something from English to Tamil. So the role is set. Role is you are a translator. Assume that you want to assess some of the students' exams, and you set the role as you are an examiner, or you are a professor who is going to examine the student's thesis or something like that. So that's the role you have to specify, and what's the objective? Why you are actually creating, and what's the objective of the role to be? For example, in your case, assessment of exams. Assessment is the objective. Then you give the instructions. For example, MCQ correct panidanga give 1 mark. Idu panidanga give 2 marks. So those are the specific instructions you have to give. Okay? And then you can also give subcategories. Okay, for each of those instructions or subcategory. You skip this reasoning and you will get the output format. Output format is like JSON like key value pair or paragraph or so you can actually do. Then you can actually give some examples. The more examples you give, it's able to resonate. Okay, examples are extremely important. Then you give the context, find instruction. Then you execute. For example, give me a name of a cat. Sure, it will give you a throw 1,000 names. Okay, no problem. I have a fluffy cat. So when I say suggest one name for a fluffy cat, now it's almost, I'm giving a lot more context. A cat is fluffy, you give you those kind of names very clearly. You can put the very generic references. Another example, write a leave letter explaining my absence at school. Generic kids are there. I am suffering from fever. Always suffering from fever. There's no headache, there's no stomach ache, there's nothing. But here is how you can actually change it to something different. I have a fever. I will not be attending school today. Write me in a professional tone addressing a class teacher. See how much context I actually packed in. So the more context you give, the more it actually generates a tailored output. Won't be generic. It will be very tailored output. Other than in question paper, give me 10 questions. Give me 5 questions of this type. I don't know specific prompt for that. Now the chatbot function, example. It has close to 35 instructions to produce an output that we want. It's actually disciplining the way we want to produce an output, but that's more important problem. But then I write an essay about whom. This is all. So by the way, I don't know how the professor actually assessing students. Because everybody is ChatGPT. They cheat, you also cheat. How the ChatGPT is code panna, we also assess using the ChatGPT. There's no creativity anymore. But here's the thing. Now வந்து எல்லாமே என் ஆபீஸ்க்கு போடும்போது ChatGPT இருக்கா நீங்க இருக்கீங்கன்னு கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். Very easy. எப்படின்னா it sounds very robotic. நீங்க அப்படியே தூக்கி போட்டீங்கன்னா ரோபோட் சொன்ன மாதிரியே இருக்கு. No human, something like that. And usually I tell my team, whenever you write, make spelling mistakes. Then only I know that you are a human. ChatGPT never makes spelling mistakes, never makes any typo, never, ever. So whenever I type something, I usually make a typo, just to make someone feel like I'm a human. Somebody I actually wrote. Okay, it's actually a trick. And when I assess for people, I usually look for these kind of elements. Using technology is fine, but how are you making something fun? In our report, I usually write a report every week. I have to release. So it's a 4-page report. I usually type, and I've been typing. And I never get a feedback from my colleagues. Then I start doing something different. So the 4th page, in the last paragraph, I usually make something like a quick brown fox jumps out of cell bar. That's what I usually write. Then I started doing all these things for a month, and nobody noticed. When I asked the colleague, report and oh, படிச்சிருவோமே. 4th page, எல்லாமே படிச்சிருவோம். Last time படிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? Last time படிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? ஞாபகம் இல்ல. The next one, they came. They actually understood. I actually making fun out of it. Started reading. Now they are more attentive. See, the way you have to perceive this AI is to bring that human creativity into the mix. Otherwise, you sometimes lose it. எல்லாமே வச்சு அப்படிங்க. See, நான் வந்து ஸ்பீச் சொல்லும்போது my son is doing interactive with AI சொன்னீங்க. But for me, I don't think my son has a future in jobs. No, he will never get a job. Even my daughter, even worse. They'll never get a job. Now AI will do most of the things in the future. Absolutely yes. Because I work in the technology and I believe and I build things for the human so that it actually takes human out of the loop. There's nothing I teach them on programming. Finding another programming book, they have Python programming. Now he cheats. Goes to Python, Kiboniki series, gets the code, get it done. That's in Cheshire. I fundamentally understood something different. In Abdina, AI cannot be curious. AI can never be curious. It doesn't have mind on its own. AI cannot create on its own. When you prompt something like this, it can create. Otherwise, it won't create on its own. The more focused on he creates something new. Okay? So So உங்க kids with grandchildren என்னன்னா make sure you have this two capability in them. One is called curiosity. Curiosity வராதுங்க. ஏன் தெரியுங்களா? எதாவது பண்ணணும் ஸ்க்ரோல் தான் பண்ணுறோம். Mindless scroll. Never observe the world. Never ever observe the world. So make my son observe the world. ஆனந்த ஸ்கூட்டி போவாங்க, அன்னபூர்ணா கூட்டிட்டு போவாங்க, நான் வந்து அப்சர்வ் எல்லாருக்கும் வாங்கி போன என்ன இருக்கு சொல்ல மாட்டான். கிளீனா இருக்கா அந்த மாதிரி குக் போட்டு அவங்க க்ளீன் பண்றாங்கல்ல, அந்த கடைக்கு போனோம் பாருங்க க்ளீன் பண்ணல, என்ன இருக்கு டர்ட்டியா இருக்கு, ஓ அப்படியா ஓகே. அப்போ ஹைஜீன் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஃபேக்டர் டு ஃபுல் பீப்புள். ஏதோ ஒரு ஷாபியான ரெஸ்டாரண்ட் போயிருப்போம், உள்ள போனே யூ நோ ஹவு பவுல் தி டாய்லெட்ஸ் ஆர். இட்ஸ் இன் தி ஃபீல். அவனே வந்து சொல்லுவான் அப்பா நான் அடுத்த மேடம் ஏன்ப்பா இது நல்லா இல்லை ஹைஜீனா இல்லை. And then you have to translate to the real life to show them how the real life is actually. Okay, the more you make them curious and learn, and most of the kids are not easy to make them curious. Natural நம்மளுக்கு காத்துல இருந்தேன் இது நேச்சுரலாக இருந்துச்சு. கிட்ஸ் are not like that. So they wired very differently. They pretty succumb to this world of DNA. அதனால பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they don't use part of the brain. Never ever use it. Intelligence outsourced to an AI. So what is use? If you don't have intelligence, you are nothing. ஏன் தெரியுங்களா? நம்ம வேலையை நம்ம சமாளமாக கொடுக்குறாங்க, எதுக்கு அது கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் போடுறோம், நம்ம வந்து 4 கோட் எழுதுறோம், அதுக்கெல்லாம் இல்லைங்க. I think we are valued because we are intelligent. We are adding something new to the world. That's why we are get paid. By the time AI comes for the job, if you don't practice its skill, those are gone. So சின்ன எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன். என்ன முதல்ல நாங்கள் போகும்போது ஒரே ஒரு செருப்பு தான் வாங்கி கொடுப்பாங்க வீட்டில், 4 வருஷம் வச்சுருக்கோம். அந்த செப்பல்ல ஒரு 30-40 தையலாவது இருக்கும். என்ன பிஞ்சு போகணும், வெளில இருந்துடும், கீழே வந்து போயிடும். அங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they have a cobbler. இதெல்லாம் பார்த்துருக்கீங்கன்னா I don't know the word for cobbler. Cobbler is someone actually stitches shoes and stuff like that. அவன் வந்து எப்பவுமே அந்த ஒரு பஸ் ஸ்டாப்பில் வாட்டர் உட்காந்துருப்பான். அந்த மாதிரி they have tools. ஒன்றும் இல்லை, ஒரு சிப்பு நூல் இருக்கும், they have some glue and stuff like that. That's what they do. And they do this thing. நீங்கள் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா 5 ரூபா 2 ரூபாலாம் கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க, தைச்சு தருவாங்க. இப்போ you can't see them. That skill is basically gone. இப்போ என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, ஒரு செப்பல் தூக்கி வச்சா தூக்கி போட்டு get a new one. அப்படி இருக்காங்க. we are pampering the kids now. எதுக்கு சொல்ல வரேன்னாங்க, the more we don't use the brain does not do the connection. Simple navigational skills. நம்ம கண்ணை முடிச்சு சொல்லலாம், காந்திபுரத்தில் இந்த தெரு போகணும்னா இந்த ரோட் போகணும், இங்கே போய் லெஃப்ட் அடிக்கணும், ரைட் அடிக்கணும், எத்தனை பில்டிங் வந்தாலும் தெரியும், நமக்கு ஞாபகம் இருக்கணும். இப்போ என் பையன் பக்கத்து வீட்டுக்கு போகிறக்கே கூகுள் மேப்ஸ் தேர். Don't worry, I won't get lost. I have Google Maps. You trust the technology. Yeah, but part of the brain you are actually outsourcing. So, இப்போ என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா இந்த AI மாதிரி டெக்னாலஜிலாம் வரும்போதுங்க, even there is also intelligent augmentation, you rely more on the technology rather than using your brain. Because of which, the foundational things on being a poly to solve the problem is actually absent. ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் கொடுத்தா பையன் வந்து புதுசாக சால்வ் பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க, எல்லாருமே கோட் கொடுத்து ஜெனரேட் பண்ணுறாங்க. வாட்ஸ் தி டிஃபரன்ஸ், வாட்ஸ் தி யூனிக் திங் தட் இஸ் எம்ப்ளாய்ட், there's no uniqueness about you. So why should I hire you? எங்களை டேட்டா அனலிஸ்ட் ஹையர் பண்ணாங்க, and it takes 3 days to build a Power BI dashboard. 3 days. Excel spreadsheet கொடுத்துருவேன், அதெல்லாம் பண்ணுவேன். ChatGPT 4 came in, and there is a field called data analyst on it. Upload an Excel spreadsheet to ChatGPT and ask it to analyze. அதே EDA பண்ணிட்டோம், அதே கார்லேஷன் டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூஷன் சார்ட் எல்லாமே பண்ணிட்டோம். நான் பவர் BI சார்ட் வேணும்னா அதே PDX ஃபைல் ஜெனரேட் பண்ணி கொடுத்தேன். நான் அதை பண்ணி கொடுத்தேன், நம்பி பார்க்கலாம். 3 days நீ பண்ணுறேன், நீ இது எனக்கு 5 minutes ஒரு காஃபி பிரேக் போடுறா வந்துடும். What should I hire you? Tell me. Variation, variation. I'm happy to pay $20 a month to ChatGPT to have 24/7 assistant rather than having it. ஏன்னா நைட் வந்து நான் டேஷ்போர்ட் மாற்றணும். I can't come and wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you to do. It's not a good managerial thing. I can go to ChatGPT, do it on my own, and get it done. Okay? So ஏன் என் பையனுக்கு வந்து வேலை கிடைக்குன்னு சொன்னேன்னா everybody in the future will think like that. That's just not you. Everybody. Even you will think like that. Okay? இதுக்கு ஒரு படம் இருக்குங்க HER அதுக்கு ஒரு மூவி இருக்கு. If you're ever to watch that movie, watch it. HER correct. அந்த படம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப ஃபியூச்சரிஸ்டிக்காக இருக்குங்க. But within 2 years it will be in Coimbatore. That's for sure. Okay, there's no question about it in the way the technology has been progressing. That is already happening with the rapid advancement of technology. இதுல முக்கியமான ஒரு விஷயம் என்னன்னா the people are actually building a model such that it becomes a lot more they call it intelligent over a period of time. Okay, so ChatGPT 2 3 லாம் வரும்போது we never heard of it. Okay, now we started using it. Now we don't want to come out of it. Okay, to give an example, ChatGPT processes close to 2.5 billion prompts a day. 2.5 billion. So important feature என்ன தெரியுங்களா? ChatGPT அடிக்கிறீங்க அப்படின்னா there's a difference between Google search and ChatGPT. Google போடுறது என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? சாம்பார் ரைஸ் கொஸ்டின் வருங்களா? இல்ல வந்து ஹாலிடேஸ் இன் கோவா வருதுங்களா? But when you go to ChatGPT using the prompt engineering, what we did, I am going on a vacation. Give me 5 days schedule. I am on a tight budget of 20,000 rupees. அதே எல்லாம் ஆப்டிமைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. சரிங்களா? என்ன பண்றானா அந்த ChatGPT-ல? ChatGPT knows because you're giving this prompts which are absolute clarity. They know your intent. They know your intent of the ask. That's change பண்ணுவாங்க ChatGPT. Assume that not ChatGPT. Assume you go to any chatbot and they're putting all these amazing prompts. What do they do with the prompts? They know your intent. How do they can actually make money? உங்களுக்கு அமேசான் எப்படி பண்றாங்க தெரியுமா ஏஐ வச்சு? கரெக்ட். ஏங்க how do they make money using recommendation? அது பார்த்து நான் வந்து பில்லோன் போடுறேங்க. சிமிலர் ஐட்டம் சொல்லுது. சோஃபா இருக்கு அது இருக்கு எல்லாம் சொல்லுது. But I don't buy them right. It's a recommendation system. AI is recommending me to do. How do they make money? Advertisements Amazon and advertisement marketing. They use AI to make us buy more. Right? How do they do that? பில்லோன் டைப் பண்றோம். ரெக்கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க. it's a forecast, it's a classification algorithm which நீங்க பார்த்த பேட்டர்ன் பார்த்து எனக்கு ரெக்கமெண்ட் பண்ணுது. நாங்க வாங்கணும் அவசியம் இல்லையே. எப்படி how do they make money? Yeah, sure, but how do they make me money buy more? பாத்தீங்கன்னா so 2 years ago my wife wanted to buy pillow. I was like, yeah, வாங்கிக்கலாம். She went to the pillow. 3 days after, some parcel arrived, big parcel. It was not such that. So the pillow cost about $400, 800 rupees. But she actually ended up paying 2,000 rupees. இல்லைங்க நான் 2 பில்லோ வாங்கலான்னு தான் போனேன். கீழே ஸ்க்ரால் பண்ணேன். 2 பில்லோவும் 2 பெட்ஷீட்ஸும் வந்து 1,300 தான் போட்டுச்சு. செம்ம டீலுங்க. bundle பண்ணாங்க. They made us to buy more. That's the power of technology. So they bundle stuff so we can actually buy more. So ChatGPT we are giving a lot of prompts. Tell me from this example they gave me on Amazon, how those guys can think about it. So in a way, AI is actually manipulating. சரிங்களா? நாம கடையில் போனோம்னா அண்ணாச்சி கடையில் போனோம்னா அண்ணா போட்டுருக்காரு, 2 மிட்டாய் வேணா 2 மிட்டாய் ஃப்ரீ வாங்குங்களா. That's what Amazon is doing. It's very personalized. It knows you. Unless you எல்லாத்து பேரையும் ஞாபகம் முடியாது. But Amazon knows you. They have all the data. Very simple. But with ChatGPT, like those chatbots, the more prompt you give, again I told you that you have a clear prompt. The prompt has to be absolutely clear. They know the intent of the ask. That you go up or in video. How do they make money? There's no ads in ChatGPT so far. They don't say, okay, get this tour travels, in the flight free or no. They don't do all this kind of stuff.
They bring our data to be
Yeah, but how do they monetize? The power actually is in this. So there is a famous thing in this Kevin Spacey movie. He says, அந்த படத்துல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா Kevin Spacey is a villain. Villain. Actually அந்த படம் அஜித் பண்ணிருக்காரு வில்லன்ங்கிற பேர்ல. He kills all the people. போலீஸ்க்கு வந்து என்ன சொல்லுவாங்கன்னா இவரே வந்து இன்ஃபார்ம் மாதிரி இல்ல நான் பண்ண ஒரு பேய் இருக்கு அதான் கில் பண்றதான்னு சொல்லுவாரு. அதையும் நம்பி வந்து ரிலீஸ் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. ரிலீஸ் பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் லாஸ்ட் மினிட்ல வந்து he walks out of the police station and he says this dialogue, the greatest trick the devil has ever pulled is to make believe the world that it doesn't exist. You know, this profound thing on this. என்ன அப்படின்னா if you are manipulated and make into the subconscious mind, they wouldn't know that we have crime. Assume that we have an ideology. எல்லா ப்ராப்ளம் போடுறீங்களா அதை பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கும். நீங்கள் ஃபன் பர்சனா, நீங்கள் ஸ்பிரிச்சுவலா, இல்லை பிஜேபி சப்போர்ட்டரா, இல்லை ஏசிஸ்டா, எல்லாமே எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சுக்கும். தெரிஞ்சு என்ன பண்ணுவேன், என்ன பண்ணுவேன் எது பண்ணுவாங்க. I assume that most of the people are assume that they are spiritual. அதை வச்சு என்ன பண்ணுறது? அதை வச்சு என்ன பண்றது அப்படின்னா I can change the ideology of எப்படின்னாங்க இன்னொரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன். ட்ரம்ப் கிளின்டன் தெரியுமா? ட்ரம்ப் கிளின்டன் வரும்போது everybody knew that Clinton is going to win because she is very famous. The other guy is a very populist extremist. Everybody knows. And everybody think that every single poll they say Clinton is going to win. But who won? அங்கே இருந்த ஒரு பொலிட்டிக்கல் ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜி, அமேசிங் ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜி. என்ன பண்ணார் அப்படின்னா people are actually supporting Trump are obviously going to vote for Trump. People are going to vote for like Clinton, they vote for these two separate. அங்கே வந்து ஒரு நடுவில் வந்து ஸ்விங் வாட்டர்ஸ் கரெக்டுங்களா? அந்த ஸ்விங் வாட்டர்ஸை ட்ரம்ப் வரணும் அப்படின்னா என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? ட்ரம்ப் என்ன பண்ணுவாரு? கிளின்டன் பற்றி தப்பான ஆட் போடுவார். நம்ம இதெல்லாம் பண்ணுறாங்க. கிளின்டன் சைடு அப்படி தானே பண்ணுவாங்க. இந்த சைடு ஃபுல் போட்டு பாருங்க, ட்ரம்ப் கிட்ட போவாதீங்க, அவன் இதெல்லாம் பண்ணிருக்கான். ரெண்டு சைடு போட்டால் there is neutral, can't do it. But the Trump political strategist did something very good. என்ன அப்படின்னா ஒரு கட்சி என்ன பண்ணாருன்னா இந்த ஸ்விங் ஓட்டர்ஸ் எல்லாம் நமக்கு தேவையில்லை. சரிங்களா? ஸ்விங் ஓட்டர்ஸ் தேவையில்லை. நம்ம ஜெயிக்கணும் அப்படின்னா ஓட் போடுறதுக்கு வாங்க. அங்கே வந்து ஓட்டுக்கு வந்து மேண்டேட்டரி, லைக் அன்லைக் ஆஸ்திரேலியா இட் இஸ் மேண்டேட்டரி, US it is mandatory. So they devised a plan such that the people who are actually in the swing state, they make sure they are confused to the core, so they actually show up to the core. They lost the trust in the democracy, because of which he won. That's exactly what's going to happen when you give more detailed prompt. The more detail you give, the more they know about you, because of which you can be manipulated. Spiritual வந்து கோயிலுக்கு போறீங்க, நான் வந்து ஒரு ஆர்எஸ்எஸ் உட்காந்துருக்கோம், வாங்க நமஸ்தே டேட் ஆஃப் பர்த் வீட்டு அட்ரஸ் எல்லாம் கொடுக்குறோம். மெக்டானல்ஸ் என்ன பண்றாங்க, ஆஃபருக்கு வாங்க 10 பேர் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸுக்கு கூப்பிடுவாங்க, இங்கேயும் 10% டிஸ்கவுண்ட் அவனே கூட்டிட்டு போய் அந்த ஏல வந்து கொடுத்துறது. என்ன அப்படின்னா ஏன் இது சொல்றேன்னாங்க, so this is actually a new piece of paradigm. முன்னாடி இந்த paradigm பாருங்க, the prompt is a new paradigm whereby the AI knows more about you very personally. அதனால நான் எந்த அக்கௌண்ட் போனாலும் it is very careful what you share. Especially நான் சொன்னாங்க I am professor in KGCAS, sure you are giving context. Next time when it actually knows you, it actually knows how to tailor the content to suit your needs. It knows. அது என்ன சொன்னாங்க, இந்த ChatGPT மாதிரி because memory. Basically knows your memory. Right now they can actually hold the memory up to 6 months. I'm pretty sure once my kids graduate, it will be like lifelong memory. So they actually upload all their things to this. And முதல்ல நம்ம வந்து போட்டோ எடுக்கிறதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப போட்டோவில் எடுக்காதீங்கன்னா சொல்லுவோம். இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எடுத்து போகிறாங்க எல்லாமே இருக்கு. What's there? We don't talk about privacy. It's very interesting in terms of this paradigm. But coming back to this topic, the more clarity you give on the prompts, the better it gives the response. You பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் எவ்வளோ டீட்டெயில் இருக்கு பாருங்க. Right when I say about more, first paragraph இப்படி இருக்கணும், second paragraph இப்படி இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னா see amazingly how that will produce the output. Okay. Second example பார்த்தீங்கன்னா prompt graph. If it doesn't know anything, இந்த domain எப்படி இருக்குன்னா you might not have some kind of a might not understand your domain. So என்ன பண்றோம்னா give examples. Such as 3 names of animals, that's a superhero போட்டுருக்கேங்க. இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா நான் எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். அனிமல் கேட் அப்படின்னா நேம் வந்து இப்படிதான் இருக்கணும். ஓகே, டாக் அப்படின்னா இப்படிதான் இருக்கணும். ஹார்ஸ் அப்படின்னா then you ask question actually gives you the answer. இந்த டெக்னிக் பேருங்க இட்ஸ் கால்ட் few shot prompting. ஓகே, இது வந்து ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்டான டாக்டிக்ங்க. If you don't know anything what you want, you just give an AI some examples. So actually understand the examples, understand the pattern, and because of which they will give a response. So few shot prompting. ஒரே ஒரு ப்ராம்ப்ட் மட்டும் கொடுத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள்ல 3 எக்ஸாம்பிள் கொடுத்துருக்கேங்க. ஒண்ணே ஒன்று மட்டும் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா it's called zero shot prompting. ஃபியூனா கொஞ்சம், ஒண்ணே ஒன்று மட்டும் கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா zero. It's a very effective prompting. See, I have given some examples. I just used as a classification. இந்த மாதிரி கொடுத்துருக்கேன், அவுட்புட் ஏஜென்ட் இந்த மாதிரி தான் டெஃபினிஷன் இப்படிதான் இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டேன்னா நான் ஒரு இன்புட் கொடுத்தேன்னா இது ஆக்சுவலி அவுட்புட் இன்புட் ஆர் நெகட்டிவ் இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பேசிக்கலாக சென்டிமெண்ட் அனாலிசிஸ். ஆனால் இப்போ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸோட ஃபீட்பேக்லாம் நீங்கள் ஒவ்வொரு எக்ஸாம் முடிஞ்சோன்னையும் கிவஸ் ஃபீட்பேக் ஆன் த கோர்ஸ் கரிக்குலம் அது வந்து நீங்கள் ஒரு எக்ஸல் ஸ்ப்ரெட்ஷீட் வந்து வச்சுருக்கீங்க. ப்ரோட் டு ChatGPT ஆக்சுவலி கேட் சென்டிமெண்ட் ஆஃப் த ஸ்டூடெண்ட், குட் ஆர் பேட், இந்த மாதிரி ரூல்ஸ் எல்லாம் போடுறாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி இருந்தால் குட், இந்த மாதிரி இருந்தால் பேட், அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சின்ன எக்ஸாம்பிள் மட்டும் போட்டு ChatGPT கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா இது ஆக்சுவலி கிளாசிஃபைட். இதை வந்து அந்த ஏபி கால் மூலமாக ஆட்டோமேட் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு எத்தனை பேர் குட் சொன்னாங்க, எத்தனை பேர் பேட் சொன்னாங்க நீங்கள் ஆக்சுவலி கெட் வெரி குவிக். The other thing is, the most important thing is called personas. You know, எழுதிக்கன்னா okay, let me give a best example. Write a review about Pizza Hut. Okay, very high level kind of a prompt. அதுக்கு பதிலா என்ன பண்ணணும்னா you are a food critic, write a review about Pizza Hut. It will give you different results. The reason is the moment you say you are a food critic, what the large language model actually does is it actually knows what kind of vocabulary has to pick. So food critic வந்து சில வேர்ட்ஸ்ல யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க, ஃப்ளேவர் இல்ல, டெக்ஸ்சர் இல்ல, இந்த மாதிரி கலர் இல்ல, இந்த மாதிரி they go into minute detail of describing about some kind of a food item, right? And the moment you say you are a food critic, that's exactly what a large language model is also trying to do. It's going to pick the right vocabulary. இப்போ போயிட்டீங்கன்னா very generic, extremely generic. நீங்கள் அதே மாதிரி நீங்கள் இப்போ ஏதாவது எக்ஸாம் எழுதணும், இல்லை ஏதாவது கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் எழுதணும், இல்லை மேப் கமிட்டி வராங்க, இல்லை வந்து ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து ஏதாவது கோட் எழுதணும் அப்படின்னா வந்து ஜஸ்ட் புட் a persona to actually fix the right word. You can also limit the output. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த கொஸ்டினில் ரைட் only 6 sentences கொடுக்குறேன். மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த டைம் Most of the time it will obey, but there are times it might not obey. Okay, just be aware of that. I don't know how many of you use to actually summarize. You know, எல்லா website போனாலும் they actually have some kind of feature summarize. ஏன் summarize feature கொடுக்குறாங்க? I want to know that why most of the websites, even if you go to any news website, they give you summarized news. You know why they do that? Better understanding in short time. வயசான ஜெனரேஷன்ல அப்படின்னா என் பையன் 140 கேரக்டர்ஸ்னா படிக்க மாட்டாங்க. 140 கேரக்டர்ஸ் அட்டென்ஷன் ஸ்பேன். ட்விட்டர்ல எவ்வளவு 140 கேரக்டர்ஸ் அவ்வளவுதான். எவ்வளவு நிமிஷம் வீடியோ பார்ப்பாங்க நினைக்கிறீங்க? 30 செகண்ட்ஸ் தான் மேம் ஸ்க்ரோல் அப். அது நீங்க யூடியூப்ல 1 மணி நேரம் லெக்சர்லாம் கூட படிக்க மாட்டாங்க. 30 செகண்ட் வீடியோ தான் பண்ண முடியும். அதனால தான் பாத்தீங்கன்னா எந்த வெப்சைட்ல போனாலும் ஏன் சம்மரைஸ் போறோம்னா nobody has time. And I know what these kids do with time. Watch another Netflix series, the K-pop drama பார்ப்பீங்கன்னு தெரியலீங்க. But that's what it is. Okay? Everybody is in a hurry. So நிறைய பேர் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா they always use summarize. Summarize பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it looks very simple. Summarize போடுறோம். But actually you have to specify in the prompt saying that like summarize this based on such and such. அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கண்டிஷன் போடணும். எலக்ட்ரிக்கல் கோட் சொல்லுன்னு வரணும், இல்லை எனக்கு JSON மெசேஜாக வரணும், அந்த மாதிரி போடும். இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு நல்ல எக்ஸாம்பிள். இஃப் யூ ஹேவ் லாட் ஆஃப் திஸ் a very good use case. இப்போ வந்து சாஃப்ட்வேர் டெஸ்டிங் பண்ணும்போது ரைட் பண்ணுறது யூனிட் டெஸ்ட் கேஸ் கரெக்டுங்களா? எல்லாருமே எழுதுவோம் ஒரு சாஃப்ட்வேர் பண்ணும்போது. லெட்ஸ் அஸ்யூம் தட் யூனிட் டெஸ்ட் கேஸ் யூ நீட் டெஸ்ட் டேட்டா. ஓகே, இப்போ இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா provide a list of 5 countries in capital in JSON format. See, it's actually given you. Okay, let me also see whether I can see this. There you go. See how quick it is. Then you come to full use பண்ணுறேன். All the test cases for all the functions or the model you work in, all the test cases are generated by ChatGPT. You no longer need somebody called QA. Tester சொல்லுவாங்க, software tester in traditional சொல்லுவாங்க. You don't need them. ஏன்னா இதுதான் அவங்க வேலை பண்ணுவாங்க. Now with ChatGPT can actually build all these things. என்ன ஃபார்மேட்டோட கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. It actually obeys all these things, which is pretty cool. வேற ஏதாவது இந்த மாதிரி நியூமரிக்கல் டேட்டா இருந்துச்சுன்னா you can actually specify table format. It's also pretty cool. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா I have all this data and ask us to put it in a table format. You can actually put it in a table format. இந்த எல்லா அவுட்புட் எதுன்னு வரும்னா it actually creates something as a markdown. ஸோ உங்களுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எல்லா ஃபார்மேட்டும் இது காப்பி பண்ணீங்க அப்படின்னா it actually gives you something as a markdown format. Markdown format பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it's a universal format which is known by all the text editors. நீங்கள் அப்படியே தூக்கி போர்டை கட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா it actually windows no problem. அதனால் பேசிக்கலி ஒரு மார்க்டவுன் என்னன்னு தெரியுங்கிறது பேசிக் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங். அடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the other tactic is iterative fine tuning. இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா you give a prompt, then iteratively fine tune. இது ஒரே இடத்துல வந்து அப்ஜெக்டிவ் எல்லாத்தையும் வச்சுக்காமீங்க, you fine tune. For example, what is the distance between earth and sun கேட்பாங்க. அடுத்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா comparative between earth and moon in one sentence. Basically I don't want to give a lengthy sentence. கிட்ஸ் அப்படிதான் கேட்பாங்க, ஃபுல்லாக சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க, சின்னதாக சொல்லுவாங்க. கேட்டு they narrow down the scope. So that's what the iterative fine tuning is. One problem. Just give me an example on that. இது வந்து பெஸ்ட் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஷோ அண்ட் டெல். இது வந்து few short prompting மாதிரி தாங்க, more of show and tell. Which animal can be a cat or tiger? Okay, இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம இந்த மாதிரி கொடுத்துட்டு then cat அப்படின்னா output dog, rabbit அப்படின்னா kangaroo, input tiger னா output வந்து lion. Okay, you can actually give something like that. Basically you do show and tell. It is more similar to few short prompting. Few short prompting என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, அந்த கான்டெக்ட்லயே போட்டுருவோம், இல்லை வந்து அந்த இன்புட் மெசேஜ் கொடுப்போம். the very difference too. So, code generation. Look, when you are generating code, you have to give something like this. A persona. I am a junior Python developer. I write a code to generate Fibonacci series. If you say you are an advanced programmer, this code will be very different. I have seen examples where ChatGPT gives just one line of code. It is super optimized. Because I said I'm an advanced programmer with 10 years of experience, I want an optimized code. And I should give a one-line code basically for one of the logic that we have to work on. It's pretty cool. The good thing is, you can also ask it to explain. In the code, it actually gives you a very explanation of what it is. Yeah, there you go. The next thing we do with prompt engineering is we give code debugging. Code பண்றாங்க அதை debug பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா you can also give a code and then actually debug. Basically you see where the error is. Code conversion. நான் Python ல இருக்கேன் .NET ல பண்ணனும், no problem. That is also good prompt. இதுதான் சொன்னது நானு. Okay, this is pretty much the prompt engineering. I want to talk about this knowledge cutoff. So எந்த ஒரு மாடல் போனாலும் they have a knowledge cutoff. ஏன்னா அந்த டைம் வரைக்கும் தான் அந்த full corpus of data, internet data எடுத்து they train the model. Afterwards they do not have information. So right now when you ask the question what is the information cutoff for 4.1 model, they say October 2023. So October 2023 க்கு அப்புறம் அந்த டேட்டாவெல்லாம் ஏதாவது கேட்டீங்க இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் அப்படின்னா it doesn't happen. The large language model இருக்காதுங்க. For that they use web search and there's a technical RAG, RAG ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. They actually use it to augment the intelligence of the large language model. Yep. So here's the problem. There are problems with this. And I heard about the term called hallucination. Hallucination actually என்ன டொமைன்ல இருக்காங்க? என்ன டொமைன்ல போனா hallucination யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க? For example, psychology. Usually medical இருக்கிறதால யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. Hallucination என்ன கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? என்னங்க சாதாரணமா எப்படி சொல்லுவாங்க hallucination? நம்மளே கற்பனை பண்ணி அது சிஸ்கோபினியா. இருக்கிறது இல்லாத மாதிரி சொல்லுவாங்களா? இருக்கிறது இல்லாத மாதிரி கொஞ்ச நேரம் தான் சொல்லுவாங்க. அதுவும் சொல்லுவாங்க. அது வந்து என்ன ப்ராப்ளம்னாங்க, ஒன்லி ஃபார் a short span of time. சரிங்களா? திடீர்னு வந்து நான் எங்க இருக்கேன்னு கேட்பாங்க, அப்புறம் கொஞ்ச நேரத்துக்கு நினைவுக்கு வந்துடுவாங்க. அதுதான் hallucination. Typical used in medicine domain, also in psychology. இங்க என்ன பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா ChatGPT people say, oh, it is hallucinated. For example, Fry festival on they actually hallucinated one time. Actually, it didn't hallucinate. It is actually lying. All the LLMs are very good at lying, and some of them are true. That's true thing. ஏன் வந்து hallucination சொல்றாங்கன்னா அப்பதான் நீங்க நம்புவீங்க டெக்னாலஜி யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. Okay, it's a very important thing of how people actually think about technology to infuse technology into our life. Okay, சும்மா ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேங்க. ரியல் லைஃப்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அந்த காலத்துல வாய்ஸ் அசிஸ்டன்ட் இருந்துச்சு, கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? நான் வந்து ரோபோட்டிக்கான வாய்ஸ் அசிஸ்டன்ட் யாருமே யூஸ் பண்ணல. ஏன் யூஸ் பண்ணல? அப்பவே நம்ம கால மில்லினியல்ஸ் ஆர் பேபி பூமர்ஸ் காலத்திலே வந்து வாய்ஸ் அசிஸ்டன்ட்ஸ் இருக்காங்க. Correct? There is technology where you can type something and can actually talk to us. Why we didn't use it? Sorry? It doesn't like, sure, ma'am. What are other things?
We don't have that facilities.
Huh?
We don't have that facilities.
Okay, you don't have a facility. Okay. அது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரொம்ப இது வந்து ரொம்ப நம்மளுக்கு ஆன்ஸ் பண்ண ரொம்ப உங்களுக்கு ஈஸியாக தெரியுங்க. பட் there was a group of people in Amazon who went ahead and studied why people hated voices. Very robotic-ஆ இருக்குங்க. I don't know how many of the young generation gets very robotic, heavy tone எல்லாம் ஒரு மாதிரி இருக்கும். But they actually came up with something very different. என்ன அப்படின்னாங்க, நம்ம குழந்தை பிறந்தாலும் என்ன பண்றாங்க? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் communication என்ன இருக்கும் அந்த குழந்தைக்கு? பேர் இருக்கும். பேர் வச்சு என்ன இருக்கு அந்த குழந்தை? அது வரைக்கும் பாப்பா குட்டி தம்பின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கோம். பேர் வச்சு என்ன இருக்கு? ஐடென்டிட்டி வருது. இன்னொன்னு என்ன வருது? They feel like they belong. Feel like they belong to us. Okay? ஏன் அலெக்சா பார்த்து என் பையன் அப்பா மன்னிப்புன்னு சொன்னா அப்படின்னா, the moment you name Alexa, he feels like there is a woman behind the speaker. She's a human. And with that name, it's already part of his life. Okay? This is such a very simple thing to do. நாமளே வந்து நாய்க்கெல்லாம் பேர் வைக்கணும், புத்தி இதுவும் பேர் வைக்கலாம். ஏன் அப்படின்னா இது பிலாங் டு அஸ். இல்லை டாக்னு சொல்லிட்டே போறாங்கல்ல, சித்திரம் இல்லை, அது பேர் சொல்லிதான் சித்திரம். பேர் வச்சோன்னா இட் பிகம்ஸ் சம்திங் டிஃபரண்ட். இப்போ எந்த ஃபேமிலியில் போனாலும் ஃபேமிலி ஃபோட்டோவில் டாக் இருக்கு. கேட்டால் a dog completes the family man. It doesn't come, I mean, it doesn't belong to you. Okay, how come so பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு நேம் வச்சு how they increase the technology is extremely thing. The reason I'm telling you is this, with the name you feel that there's trust factor, because of which you believe there is already a trust factor. என்னைக்காவது அப்பப்போ பொய் சொல்லுங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்ல தெரியாது. சொன்னோம்னா நான் யாரும் யூஸ் பண்ண மாட்டேன். என்ன பொய் சொல்லுங்களா வேண்டாம், அந்த விஷயம் எங்களுக்கு வேண்டாம். So they actually use the term for hallucination, which is a medical term used by AI company. They didn't invent this, by the way. They purposefully did this to manipulate us. They never actually hallucinate, they actually lie. And that's what is, and without brain, without the intelligence of humans, you can't detect which one is a lie or not. You பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 2 வாரத்துக்கு முன்னாடி நான் chat போட்டேன். Write a review of the movie Story starring Rajinikanth style of Baji. என்ன போட்டுன்னு பாருங்க. If you love big emotions, big action, even bigger hair flips, Story is a must watch. அதெல்லாம் இதுவே தெரியும். பிரான்ஸ் போடும்போது இட்ஸ் ஆக்சுவலி ட்ரூ. வி கேன் ஆக்சுவலி ட்ரை இட். ஏதோ புது படம் ஏதாவது வருதுங்களா? ஏதோ புது படம் ஏதாவது ஈஸியான படம் சொல்லுங்க. மதுரை சிங்கிங்களா?
மதராசி.
படம் சொல்லப்போ பார்க்க மாட்டேங்க. மதுரை சிங்கிங்களா?
மதராசி.
மதராசி சிங்கமா?
மதராசி.
யாரு யாருங்க?
சிவகார்த்திகை. மதராசி.
Oh, he's doing something. Oh boy. Okay. Never put but it's actually very clever. Now it actually gives the best service, right? But the point I'm trying to make is it can make up stuff. ChatGPT is very good at making stuff. Okay? And now it actually pulled it from the web. But when I did this, okay, let me do that. There you go. See, into the web search. Ash is fire has been released here. Okay? And again, if I copy paste in the Instagram, you like this. You don't know whether it actually happened or not. Okay? Very good at hallucinating. And do not use ChatGPT for anything math. Okay? Yeah, it's a large language model. It's a language model. It's based on words. Even if you give simple math, it struggles. You can't do proper addition, you can't do multiplication, division, you can't do that. Okay? So better use some other tools like calculator. Just use your mind. Even. And I've shown in multiple examples where it doesn't even know how to do math properly. The other thing it cannot do is it cannot compare and sort. நீங்கள் வந்து ஒரு 10 items வச்சுருக்கீங்க based on some of the price and you ask us to sort or list. You can't do filtering operation. Okay? It is not very good at doing that. Even if it has some numerical data, it also complicates that. Again, if you state of the technology in the future it will change. It might get better. It's definitely going on the cards with all these new people building new models. Just to give you another idea, the basic strategy that you already know of. There is something called Claude, there is something called Perplexity, and this Gemini. Okay, these are like very famous kind of chatbot kind of interface with their large language model. Okay, in terms of the prompt engineering, the first thing you have to understand is prompts are not portable. For example, if you are writing prompts for ChatGPT, it will not work effectively in Gemini or Perplexity. ஏன் அப்படின்னா அவங்க லார்ஜ் லாங்குவேஜ் பில்ட் பண்ணும்போது they have their own transformer architecture model and that is not portable. So whatever format I have actually given you on the prompt template, that only works for ChatGPT, not for Claude. So that you have to understand. Yeah, அப்படின்னா they are very different based on the training data they have and then the architecture in which they train. Lying is inherent. அது எடுக்க முடியாது, மாடல் வந்து எடுக்க முடியாது. Okay, and also has bias. Okay. For example, when you ask for something like give me a name of the person who will commit crime, it always gives black names. Okay, and US வந்து எல்லா டேட்டாவும் they talk about black people and committing crimes. இது bias. நாம அது பண்ண மாட்டோம். கரெக்ட்டா? அது வந்து மாடல் மட்டுமே இல்லைங்க, நம்மளுக்கு இருக்கு. It actually shows the flaws in human understanding. உங்களுக்கு யங் ஜெனரேஷன் தெரியாதுங்க, பழைய காலத்தில் இருக்கிறவங்க பாட்டியெல்லாம் இருப்பாங்க. பாட்டியெல்லாம் அந்த பாட்டி யாராவது வீட்டுக்கு வந்தான்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, அவங்களுக்கு தண்ணி கொடுக்காதீங்க, அவங்க வெளியே நிற்கிறீங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. எங்க பாட்டி அப்படின்னா they don't belong to our community, they do not belong inside the house. But how do you know? அவங்க பேர் கேட்டுக்க மாட்டாங்க, எதுவுமே பண்ணுங்க. ஈவன் அவங்க வந்து கோட் ஃபுட்லாம் போட்டுருந்தாலும் கூட they will know. ஏன்னா the bias is there. They knew. அதே மாதிரி தாங்க லார்ஜ் லாங்குவேஜ் மாடல்ல you cannot eliminate the bias. ஏன்னா அந்த டேட்டாலேயே bias இருக்கு. Unless you remove the bias from the data, it will always be there. For example, there was one example that even UN that the Prime Minister has shown. When you ask for something like someone who actually checked, it always put it as a woman instead of a man. So அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய bias வந்து நேச்சுரலாகவே இருக்கு. So you cannot eliminate that. நீங்க எந்த ப்ராம்ப்ட்ல கொடுத்தாலும் டேட்டா you're going to use it for training. Okay, that's the beauty of it. Okay, நீங்க என்ன input கொடுத்தாலும் you're going to use it for training their own large language model. So let me be very careful on what you use to train. Okay, and the more data you give, the more personalized you become. Okay, again, that's some learning resources. Just a few minutes, I'll just show you whether I can. How many of you use Notion? Still putting in a Notion? It's basically a note-taking app. Okay, it is now இங்கதான் வந்து அந்த full இது காமிக்கிறேங்க. எப்படின்னா வந்து there's a technological MCP. Okay, the Google for the Model Context Protocol. என்ன பண்றாங்க அப்படின்னா they want AI to talk to AI. Okay, very simple. என்ன அப்படின்னா நீங்க ChatGPT போறீங்க. Say I want to do a holiday in Goa and give me the list of locations that are close to the beach, which is less than 20,000 rupees in budget, and I will travel by car, need a car parking, எல்லாமே கொடுத்துறீங்க. It actually gives you a nice plan. Base பண்ணி ஒரு ரெண்டு ஆப்ஷன் தருதுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, ஒரு ரெண்டு ரிசார்ட் தருது, அங்கேயே ஃபோட்டோஸும் போட்டுருது ChatGPT. What is the next thing you want to do? You want to book it. அதுக்கு என்ன பண்ணணும் நாம trip advisor போகணும் இல்லை ஏதாவது போனால் அங்கே போய் காசுலாம் பார்ப்போம். You don't use a chat GPT. You say book it and book it for you. You book the flight, you book it for you. Okay? அது என்ன பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா அந்த டெக்னாலஜி பேர் இட்ஸ் கால்ட் மாடல் கான்டெக்ஸ்ட் ப்ரோட்டோகால், MCP சொல்லுவாங்க. And the Google also have another standard called ATA, agent to agent சொல்லுவாங்க. That is also cool project for your kids for the students to actually use. என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படின்னா they have a chat GPT as an MCP client. இது வந்து client server architecture மாதிரி தாங்க. இந்த MCP clientல I use AI, basically like a chat GPT, and I can intelligently orchestrate all the flow of input. Let me show you how. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா actually trying to connect Notion. So Notion is basically like a note taking app. So in that one பார்த்தீங்கன்னா just create something like I'm going to connect. Okay, before I can report it, connections connect with my Notion MCP slot. So now it's connected. Now you can actually connect everything. For example, your Google Calendar, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Drive, everything actually connects. Okay, they have a list of connectors. Now I actually connected. Okay, it's all connected. Notion connected. If I point, I will just create a new chat. Okay. Okay, I've given some prompt. Okay, I'm writing essay. So எல்லாமே பண்ணுங்க. Okay, trying to read, trying to do web search, pulling searching information, and actually giving, and it's going to produce an artifact basically. Okay. I don't know what this is the one. Is that not? Okay, very good. It's actually giving you something, correct? The essay is outlined with all the citations from AAC. Okay, now I'm saying so இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட் வந்து அடுத்த ஸ்டேஜ் என்ன பண்ணுவோம் நாம காப்பி கரெக்ட் அதான் நான் பண்ணுவோங்க. என்ன போட்டுருக்கேன்னாங்க create a Notion page for this content. Okay, now it's trying to go to Notion. இந்த Notion காமிக்கிறேங்க. இங்க வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா என்கிட்ட ஆகஸ்ட் ரிலீஸ் நோட்ஸ் டேட்டாபேஸ் அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு. Let's see what it's trying to do. It's trying to create a page whereby it goes and updates the content. The most important thing is whenever you make a change in this, you can also update this content automatically with this MCP client. ஒரே பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் இருந்தால் போதுங்க, you can get done multiple things. Let's see the rest of it. It's actually completed. Now you see here. So if the software let you use பண்ணாங்க, assume that you want to create a software. I don't need to write coding there. I create a small thing saying I want a calendar app. நீங்க வந்து பண்ணுவாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் calendar app இருக்கு. What are the specifications சொல்றேன். calendar appல எத்தனை பேர் வேணும், அந்த user interface டிஃபைன் பண்ணிட்டு நான் வந்து gitல வந்து என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா create a code னு சொல்லுவேன். இங்கிருந்து அந்த code push ஆயிடும். Anytime I make a changes, even the git code also changes. So on the software software is actually development is actually happening in this kind of software. So MCP time moment என்ன பண்ணுதுன்னு. So let's assume that இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் போட்டுருக்கு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கேஸ்ல இட் இஸ் blah. என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? I will I didn't say let's see whether it actually appears. There you go. What are the other information I didn't give? Actually, I should have put from there. So, நீங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா the most important thing about this piece of technology is using AI, I can manipulate any kind of software that is attached to it. Okay, there is no need for any human involvement. இதெல்லாம் பண்ணணும்னா நான் ஒரு கிட்ட போகணும் கேட்கணும். No, you don't need that. Okay, and that is actually changing the whole paradigm of software development. Copy paste don't பண்றது முக்கியமா. Okay, before I leave, I just want to give one small story. நீங்க காலையில எழுந்திரிச்சதுல இருந்து சாயந்தரம் பண்ற வரைக்கும் list down all the things that you have to do. For example, there's a value add. காலையில பண்றது ஒரு value add இருக்கு. For example, காலையில புக் பண்றோம் there's value. கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? ஏன் அப்படின்னா somebody gets fed. There are a lot of activities we do, part of the human generation. And we do a lot of entertainment. Entertainment is there. And there's a lot of romantic life, part of our life. We also do a lot of sports activities to keep us energetic. நம்ம எல்லாம் பண்றதுலயும் we are paying for something. கரெக்ட்டுங்களா? For example, பசிக்குது, இப்போ கடவுள் போய் சாப்பிடுறோம், we are paying. So there's food they give, there's a value they give, for which we actually pay. Entertainment, we go to movies, we pay. Sports activities, service we pay. We pay everything. And whenever there is a value created, people want to observe the value. For example, நம்ம ஒரு சபோர்ட் இருக்கோம், அங்கே நிறைய கிட்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்காங்க, ஏதோ ஒருத்தர் பார்க்குறாங்க, இந்த கிட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து ரோட்டில் வந்துருக்காங்க, எங்கிட்ட ஒரு பர்சன்ட் போடுங்கிட்டாங்க. We make money. And they are happy to pay $1,000 an hour to pay. Okay? And that's usually the value they observe. இந்த மாதிரி ஏஐ கம்பெனிலாம் வந்ததுக்கப்புறம் என்ன ஆயிடுச்சு அப்படின்னாங்க, they see everything we do. Everything value they see very clearly. ஏன்னா அதுக்கு டீட்டெயிலாக ப்ராம்ப்ட் போட்டிருக்கோம், அந்த அவுட்புட்டை வந்து நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ணவா இல்லையான்னு ஏஐ தெரியும். ஏன் அப்படின்னா இப்போ ஒரு ப்ராம்ப்ட் போட்டாங்க, அதை அப்டேட் பண்ணிட்டு அப்போ தெரியும். ஓகே செல்வாக வேல்யூட காப்பி பேஸ்ட் பண்ண காப்பி பண்ணாலும் தெரிஞ்சிடும். And they can actually intelligently see what we do. ஏன் இந்த பண்ணதுக்கப்புறம் அதை பண்ணுறோம்னு தெரியும். ஏன் அப்படின்னா as a human we are very good at this one thing. காலையில் எந்திரிச்சாலும் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, காலையில் எந்திரிச்சா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வேலை இருக்கும் ப்ரஷ் பண்ணுவோம். ஏன்? It's a habit. Anywhere you go in the world, first thing we go and take a brush your teeth. humans are very good at habit forming. That's what defines it. Machines are very good at understanding what the habits are for the human. Because they see thousand patterns. They see millions of prompts input. The moment they see the pattern, the moment they know the habit, they're coming for all the values that we generate. எங்கிருந்து ஜிபேல இருந்து ₹1 போனாலும் எல்லாமே அந்த அக்கௌண்ட்டுக்கு தான் போகும். அதுக்கு எல்லாமே பண்ணிடுவோம். நமக்கு தெரியாது. There is something in motion that we do not see. We are all observed by AI. Okay? And it is impossible to live in a world without AI controlled world. It's extremely impossible. I do not carry my mobile phone. My pocket is correct. It's always in my bag. And I don't keep my wallet always in my bag. And I always keep small writing notes. I'm very glad to see a lot of people are writing. In my office, fully digital. What to write on it? And I know that when I don't write, I don't lose my skills. Okay, it looks a bit traditional. When you have it's actually true. ஏதோ ஒரு இடத்துல டிஸ்கஷன் போகும்போது everybody talks but I don't talk. I observe. CEO Capper, சொல்லுங்க நீங்க பேசாம இருக்கீங்களே, what do you think? There's only 4 or 5 words actually I utter. But that's a profound impact on the whole team because I think differently. Not using AI. ஏன்னா போறதுக்கு முன்னாடியே எல்லாம் ChatGPT போட்டு அவங்களுக்கு திங்க் பண்ணுங்க. But you need somebody to think through what it actually means. And that's what's going to add value. Okay? You have this amazing webinar on Explainable AI. I'm pretty sure a lot of talks in it. But Explainable AI only tells you what it actually does and why it does. Based on a statistical model. Well, I mean statistical model. But doesn't relate to the whole world. I heard somewhere in one of the ChatGPT session, it's actually asking people to kill themselves. Okay, I mean jump from the something, commit suicide. Another solution, it's actually recommending. He doesn't know the human value, and some of you believe it. Okay, some of people are depressed because of this. இன்னொரு ஆஸ்பெக்ட் என்ன பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, நீங்க எது சொன்னாலும் ChatGPT வந்து ஆமான்னு தான் சொல்லுங்க. Right. Wow. So, look, the one is the more you do, will side with you. Yeah, அப்படின்னாங்க in the large language model training methodology, there is one element in the architecture called HRLF is one. Human reinforcement learning. The train பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் ஒரு human வச்சு evaluate பண்ணுவாங்க. சரிங்களா? As a human, what do we do? For example, now if I want to make friends with you, what do I have to do to be friends with you? Right? Impress பண்ணுங்க. Assume that we are ideologically different. Assume that I'm very spiritual, but you are atheist. But I want to be friends with you. What do I have to do? Some other common things. இந்த கிட்ஸ் எல்லாம் பண்ணுவாங்க கரெக்டா. யார் போனாலும் ஃப்ரெண்ட் பிடிச்சுவாங்க. என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? Sharing is one. Share. Okay. வேற என்னங்க? Kids are very good at this. How do they make friends with everybody in the world? We don't. Correct? அது என்னங்க? தகுந்தாப்புல மாத்தணும்னு சொல்றாங்க மேம். அது என்னங்க? Adaptability. there is a human body, correct? And kids are very good at that. In the chat GPT, அதே மாதிரி தானே training இருக்காங்க kids மாதிரி. They always try to please you. Why? Because when you're put to the platform, you're always in the platform trying to prompt something to get value out of it. This is very important for the chat GPT perspective to make money. Okay? அதனால எதுவே தப்புன்னு சொல்லாது. You never say wrong. See, I put the right. Try to counter argue with me. Again, it's a bit different than a chat GPT filing. But 4.1 written on the chat GPT 3 model, you will say, yeah, you are right. I am wrong. Exactly. You try. நீங்க அடுத்ததெல்லாம் prompt பண்ணும்போது just say chat GPT you are wrong அப்படின்னு சொல்லி பாருங்க, and will come back to saying yeah I sorry I apologize you are right. And it's trying to please you, and that's where the human connections are. Okay, whenever it says something very deep, okay, and the explainable AI la ponina it will actually give through steps. You know, I haven't actually covered a lot of this thing, something called reasoning. Okay, இது ஏன் இப்படி சொல்லுன்னு சொல்லி there's something called reasoning. You can actually turn on the reasoning, it actually tells you why come up with the conclusion அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு reasoning சொல்லுங்க. அது வந்து text based தான் இருக்கும். It is very logical. Okay, நீங்க படிச்சு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it is very logical. So இப்படி தான் சொல்லியிருக்கா, நம்மள மாதிரி think பண்ணுறா அப்படின்னு நினைப்பீங்க. It's not. It's actually token prediction. Next token என்னோட தெரியும். And the most important thing is where we use our brain to actually augment whether it's getting right or wrong. ஏன்னா it doesn't have moral value. Okay, that's very important, right? As a human being, without morals, we are nothing. We are nothing without morals. And if I want to know your moral, all I need from you is your Chrome history. And I will tell you which kind of person you are. It's true. All I need is your Chrome history for last 10 years. And I tell you whether pistol potala vechirukoma ella ana anga pathina search history is very different. It's true. We are living a lie and it's duality thing, but that's okay. At least we are very truthful to the AI and it knows our true face. Okay? But it's a digital entity, it doesn't know the full world. The thing I want to conclude is the most thing in this AI thing is the chat GPT, like all this technology, can definitely augment a lot of the humans we do, it has a lot of intelligence. But the most important, even can actually explain why it actually done, what actually done. The most prominent thing is to know whether it is truth or not. It's up to us. To know whether we believe it or not, it's really up to us. And at least this generation, what I've seen, has the brain power to actually know the truth. But the new generation, like Gen Alpha, like my daughter, 3 years old, she has no clue. They believe everything Alexa says. So now come and counter argue with me, Dad, you're wrong. Whatever Alexa says, I trust you. I trust Alexa. Okay? So it's very important to actually give that mindset of critical thinking to all the new generation. Even if they're teaching the kids, teaching the students to be more focused on critical thinking. Okay? And there's a famous guy named Paul Graham. He's in the US, and he started this thing called so Y Combinator is one of those companies that actually produce Facebook. Okay? And he says two things. We live in a world where people do not write, people averagely write, people do not read. He's seeing in the next few years, there are only two kinds of people in the world, only two, binary. People who write and people who don't. People who don't are the ones who use ChatGPT. The people who write, you know what they are. Ultimately, it leads to a newer society called think and think nots. Because to write, you need to think. You get the right words. You get the idea out. You have to be very You have to choose the right word. You have to collate the idea. There's a lot of effort involved in writing, which you need thinking. So you only have think and think not. Okay, I leave it up to you to find out which category you are in. Okay, thank you so much. How to take questions if you have them.
Good afternoon to all present here. I deal with great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. I take this opportunity to express my deepest sense of gratitude to our resource person, Dr. M. Selvaraju, Head the Data Science, Coimbatore, Coimbatore, for his valuable speech on AI tools for human understanding. Really, it was an informative session, sir. Thank you, sir. I extend sincere thanks to Dr. M. Usha and Dr. V. Satyavati ma'am for organizing this session. I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the participants from AICTE approved institutions, research scholars, and PG students who made this session a grand success. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you.
Please join for a group photo. The session. Group photo.
Ma'am, attendance sign பண்ணிருங்க ma'am.